Hello all. I'm just on the edge of Sudbury, Ontario. I've made major changes in my life over the last month, and it's been with great intentionality. And I intend to tell you in the next, hopefully 10 minutes, why I did what I did. I was at the University of Waterloo for the last 7 years, really, but I've been doing a master's degree for a year and a half. I've decided to leave. I said it was a leave of absence, but it might just be a permanent dropping out, you could say. Why did I do this? Why have I made such a change in my life? And currently I'm going up north to start a forestry contract gig. Why am I doing this? Well, I see that the academic social sciences, I was a political science, political economy specialist. Why are the academic social sciences in a crisis? Because I believe they are. Well, I give three very broad reasons as to why, and each of them have subsections. One relates to a larger cultural issue, that we've lost a sort of canonization of our culture, in terms of we've lost a foundation to which we all agree with. So in English, we no longer agree that things like Shakespeare, things like Beowulf, classic English language texts are the thing to teach right away. In political science, obviously now there are new versions of a sort of agreed upon canon, but it's vastly different from what it was 40 years ago. And because of this huge change, there's no longer really a shared understanding of what our subject is. Does that make sense? You're studying political science, and within political science, you're getting little bits of sociology, psychology, critical theory, and you don't really know when you're taking a class what exactly you're getting yourself into. There's not a shared understanding of the type of theorists, ideas, histories that you're going to be learning about. And you could argue that's a good thing. You could argue that we should be challenged. But I think it's a balance. I think we need to have a shared basis, and then from there you learn new ideas. But right now, I think I didn't really have a strong sense of exactly what I was studying, because I'm interested in the economic history of Canada. I'm interested in the political economy of the British Empire, the economic history of the British Empire, but I didn't really know how to study that, because it wasn't really an option, even though it was probably supposed to be. And I didn't really know how to fit in with the sort of subjects that you'll get into later that were apparently the predominant way of study. Secondly, and I'll actually increase the number of things I talk about here because I'm just thinking more. Secondly, is the standards have completely dropped. I always have said that I think instead of having 50 political science departments in the country, I think we should have 12. Perhaps one in each province and 2 in Quebec and Ontario. Because we don't need this many political science graduates. We don't need this many professors. And it would be better if we consolidated the brightest minds in things like history, politics, and broadly social sciences. I think that there is an oversaturation of the market for people that have these degrees. This is coming from someone with a political science degree. And I think it does hurt the image of our discipline when so many people are just getting the degree for the sake of the degree. So I think there's been oversaturation leading to a decline of standards and a decline also of the expectations of the student. So no longer can you expect students to read a whole book in 2 weeks. No longer can we expect to go through really dense texts. Instead, we have to go to the lowest common denominator, because the university, of course, has become a business. It's been captured by certain ideological interests. But more so, it's just there are a lot of people, and perhaps the population, even among the elite minds, has been declining. Perhaps that is true. Perhaps. Well, I do think the best young people today are still very smart, but I do think that we have lost many things. Our brains have been changed, perhaps permanently, by some of the technology and other things in our society. So the standards have declined, and it's very difficult for me to sit back and kind of just be okay with that. Thirdly, and relating to that, generative AI has completely taken over the student experience, both because students are using it to cheat, and also because some professors are allowing it and even pushing it. And fair enough, it's taken over our society. But again, I think the university system is in a crisis because of this. We don't know how to actually test for expertise. We don't know how to test for knowledge anymore because knowledge can be acquired momentarily through these generative AIs. And so I think the university system needs to figure out how to be a knowledge acquiring institution again. It needs to rethink what its purpose is in our society with the advent of this technology. So generative AI, again, I had to take a class where I had to code in one of my political science. In the political science department, I had to take a class where I had to code, and it was extremely difficult for me. And I know for a fact people in my class were using ChatGPT, and I needed to use it because, well, I was thinking about using it because I couldn't learn Python in a matter of weeks, and it was very difficult and stressful for me. That's one of the ultimate reasons why I ended up dropping out. But again, I know people are cheating, and again, it just doesn't feel right. The university is supposed to be a place to grow your knowledge, a place to, expand on your profession and build a profession, and ultimately to build on yourself as well. And I got some of that in university in my undergrad, but that was ultimately because of my own action, my own extracurriculars, my own reading at the library at midnight. Because the library is the best thing about the university at this point. Libraries have so many great old books and great new books as well, and they have kept those libraries in great shape. So if there's one great thing left of the social sciences and university departments, it is the libraries, especially where I went to school. It was excellent, and that's one thing positive I'll say. So again, generative AI is a major problem for universities, and they need to figure that out. Lastly, and perhaps biggest, is the dogma. The dogma. And there goes the bus I just arrived on. Bye-bye. The dogma. What does dogma mean? Well, ultimately, dogma is an unquestioning attitude of agreeableness towards certain ideas, philosophies, and worldviews, and that's about it. It's not being able to sway from a given position or worldview, and it's only seeing things through a certain lens. And if that's ever questioned, then it's usually a violent reaction. Dogma, if ever questioned, can be rather violent and ugly. It's a word that evokes quite strong feelings. Dogma, it's like you have to pry it out of you. It's like it's a surgical removal. You have to get it out of your brain. You have to go through brain surgery to get the dogma out. Many university departments have their own dogmas. There's a common line in social sciences that each specific department is trapped within their own framework of analysis. And that is true, and you could call that dogma. That's not as much as what I'm talking about, because I can understand that to a certain extent. It makes sense why specialties would emerge, and I think that then disciplines should, I think, build their own way of viewing things, but also looking at other disciplines too and trying to synthesize them. But more so what I'm talking about, obviously, how do I say this, is the obsessive takeover of social sciences department by what you could call critical theory. And I don't like to say that because I sound like a generic sort of reactionary. But it's just true. It's just true that the cliques within many departments, the cliques among the grad students, and the cliques among the professors and the advisors, they are going to the same talks. They are following the same leading academics, and they are subscribing to the same, very similar theories. And ultimately, I don't want to get too specific, because again, you probably already have a sense of what I'm talking about. But if you don't, there is an obsession with carrying out a progressive